Welcome to 5 Good Minutes.
You're listening to today's inspirational message on the book of Ecclesiastes with Dan Irvin.
Welcome back to the 5 Good Minutes podcast this week as we have been looking at Ecclesiastes chapter 1. And today I want to look at Ecclesiastes chapter 1, verse 11. The author writes, "No one remembers the former generations, and even those yet to come will not be remembered by those who follow them." Think for a moment about the people that you admire the most, those who have made truly an impact on your life. Perhaps they're innovators, people in history, or maybe even more personal, members of your family. And surely, you might think, well, their legacy will be remembered forever. But Ecclesiastes confronts us with a reality, a sobering reality, that there is no remembrance of former things. This verse 11. In 100 years, who will remember the names of the people that we admire today, or even more, in a more real way, who will remember our names? Do we think about that? Do you think about that? This reality can be a little unnerving, in a world that places a lot on value on legacy, on being remembered. This verse specifically shines light on how fragile all of that really is. It's really a reminder of that, no matter how significant we may feel, our earthly achievements, our reputations will fade, eventually fade. And it's natural to want to be remembered, to want to leave a mark that will last. Every single one of us wants to know that our lives matter, that our effort was significant. This desire can drive us to work in such a way, to strive in such a way, to influence, to build a reputation, to pursue legacy. But when it becomes our ultimate goal to build a legacy for ourselves, anxiety, fear of being forgotten can creep in. We begin to live not for the sake of work itself, but for the recognition that we might get from it. We fear that if we're forgotten, the fear of being forgotten, it comes with this driving force. It's in everything that we do. But Ecclesiastes reminds us that no matter how hard we want and we try to etch our names into history, eventually time will pass. And the truth is, every legacy, no matter how great, will eventually be obscured by time. So here's the liberating thing that God offers, that the good news of Jesus offers. Our earthly legacies will fade, but our lives are eternally significant with God, to God. In Christ, we are never forgotten. We are always remembered. We're redeemed. We're loved forever. Jesus, with his work, his finished work on the cross, has secured for us a legacy, an eternal legacy that will stand the test of time. The good news, the gospel tells us that in Jesus we can be a part of something that will last, that will never fade away. God knows our names, and he's promised that he will never forget us, because in Christ we have been adopted into God's family. Our significance can now be found in him, not in how we are remembered by others, but in how God sees us. Paul writes about this in his letter to the Ephesians, chapter 1, verses 4 and 5. He says this, "For he chose us in him before the creation of the world. He predestined us for adoption to sonship through Jesus Christ." This is the ultimate legacy, that we have been chosen by God, known by God, being brought into his eternal family. Our lives are now part of this grand narrative of God's redemptive plan. And this means something, that our actions, when done in the service of Jesus, they carry an eternal weight, an eternal weight. this fragileness of our earthly legacy. It can be a source of anxiety if we allow it to be the foundation of our lives, as I mentioned. But we can shift our focus from being remembered by others to being known and loved by God. When we do this, it changes everything. We're free from the burden of building something for ourselves that will last in the eyes of the world, because in Christ, we're part of an eternal family and our lives have eternal purpose. We are remembered not because of what we have done, but because of what Christ has done for us. I pray that we can live today with this understanding that our significance is not in the fleetingness of the world, but is rooted in the eternal love and grace of God.
Thanks for joining us here today. There's a lot of great content to explore on Orchard Hill Plus and on the Orchard Hill main feed from the weekend. Have a great day.